Hey everybody, quick video this week, and I apologize for this being a day or so late. I have been insanely busy. Speaking of which, there'll be a quick update on my own training after the demos. We have 3 Brig demonstrations this week, each one Doug's preferred exercise, plus the free weight alternative. Now 2 of these, biceps and triceps, we have seen before, but the triceps ones are actually new recordings. Shout out to Stephen Goddard for saying to me, in short, dude, isn't your angle on those triceps exercises pretty wrong? Sure was. Thank you, Stephen. So I have redone the video of those exercises. Okay, so medial delts, biceps, and triceps after that update on my training. I hope you like the videos. The BRIG20 exercise for the medial delts, the cable side raise, or lacking cables, the dumbbell side raise. We begin by putting on a pair of wrist cuffs with D-rings. Attaching the cables to those D-rings means we don't have to worry about grip strength. It takes some pressure off the forearms and, always a good thing, somehow takes a little pressure off the elbows, shifting the load onto those medial delts, which are, after all, the muscles we want to be working here. Most people begin this exercise with the cable pulley at the floor, but that's not what we're going to do. Doug suggests moving that cable pulley up to about waist level. So we do that, and we attach our cables to the D-rings. When the exercise starts, notice that your arm is moving in essentially a horizontal direction. The green arrows point to the line of resistance, whereas the red arrows point to where the line of resistance would be if that pulley were on the floor. Having the pulley at waist height, asserts Doug, gives us more opposite position loading, shifting a greater percentage of the exercise effort onto the muscle being targeted. So that's good. So we start the exercise, we move our arm up to about shoulder height, and then a controlled release. Notice we're keeping our elbows bent just a little bit throughout. Now the reason we're stopping our arm when it hits the level of the shoulder girdle is for 2 reasons. One, you're just not getting much more bang for your buck by raising your arm higher than your shoulders. 2, the more often you raise loads, especially heavy loads, higher than your shoulders, the greater risk you run for developing symptoms of shoulder impingement. And I think that's something we can all agree we want to avoid. And you know the rest. You finish your reps with one arm, then you switch to the other arm. Now, if you don't have a cable machine, no problem. The simple dumbbell side raise is Doug's suggested alternative. You hold those dumbbells down at your side, raise them up to shoulder level, slowly release, and you know how the rest goes. And those, my friends, are the BRIG20 exercises to work your medial deltoids. The BRIG20 exercises for the triceps. Doug recommends the cable push down, or if you don't have a cable machine, the 2-arm decline dumbbell triceps extension. We begin by putting that pulley up just about as high as it can go, and Doug recommends doing a 2-cable, meaning 2 arms at a time, triceps push down. But at the gym I use, the cable machine does not have arms that adjust, so I can do 2 cables at a time. So I just have to improvise and do 1 arm at a time. Now, when we begin, we bend that elbow so we get as much of a bend as we can, extend until the arm is just about locked down. And notice how the triceps is parallel with the line of resistance. That gives us that opposite position loading that Doug asserts moves the majority of the effort onto the operating muscle. And also Doug asserts that the last little bit of the extension doesn't really give you too much, so you can extend your arm until it is almost locked out, controlled release back to the beginning, and then of course you repeat for as many reps as necessary. Now if you don't have a cable machine, the decline dumbbell triceps extension will work. You start by taking that decline bench and moving it up to get as steep an angle as possible. You grab your dumbbells, lay back, put your triceps as vertical as you can. Begin with those dumbbells down as far as they can go. Extend your arms until the triceps, or the elbow I should say, are just about locked out. Controlled release, and then repeat for as many reps as you can. And there you go, my friends, the BRIG20 exercises for working those triceps. So today we're looking at Doug's suggestion for how to do the 1-arm cable curl. 1-arm cable curl, you say. Easy. What could be weird about that? I'm glad you asked. because Doug suggests a very specific manner in which to do this. And again, we're really focusing on that concept of opposite position loading, right, which is positioning that working muscle opposite the load, or to put it another way, parallel with the line of resistance, or as close as one can get to it, and also extending that muscle as far as one can and then releasing as far as one can to get as much of a range of motion as possible. Okay, so I've got my warm-up weight here, and notice where I have the pulley. We're going to position that pulley actually behind the foot. Now notice what this does. It pulls our arm backwards just a little bit. So we have, the bicep fairly parallel with that line of resistance, right? And also having that pulley behind the foot almost forces us to straighten out the arm as much as we can on the release. Something else to try when you're doing this, and this is really difficult, unexpectedly difficult. Keep that elbow pinned to your side. Try not to let your elbow drift up and back and so forth. And especially when you get up to your working weights and you get tired on those last few reps, that does get difficult. But anywho, so we've got our pulley behind our foot. And when I do this, I actually position that pulley so it's partly behind my leg, not just in terms of one axis, but also the other. That's because my elbows are kind of messed up. And I find that if I'm pulling out just a little bit, it does not hurt my elbows as much. Now, this isn't a thing of Doug's. This is just, if you're looking at how I do it and going, hey, that's kind of weird. That's why. Okay, so pulley behind the foot, trying to keep our bicep motionless, keep that elbow pinned, right? All the way up. Slow release. All the way back. All the way up. Slow release. All the way down. And again, trying really hard to keep that elbow motionless. And as on everything else, it's super easy, right? Even if you go all the way up, to go down this far and then start your next rep. I do that a lot and then have to catch myself. But yeah, don't do that, okay? All the way down and then all the way up. And that, my friends, is the one-armed cable curl. If you don't have a cable machine, the alternative Doug suggests is the seated incline dumbbell curl. You just have a seat on that bench and let your upper arm point straight toward the floor and then curl those dumbbells like you'd think, curling all the way up and letting your arm go all the way back down till it's pretty much locked. It's very important in this exercise not to let your elbow drift, or this will happen. When you get to the top of the movement, your upper arm will be supporting the weight somewhat, and so you will be losing some of the benefit of the exercise. Instead, keep those arms pointed at the floor, curl all the way up, and then let that arm go all the way back down. Okay, so there were those. Now, update on my own training. I've identified a program, or a contest I should say, on September 9th I'm going to try to make. But I am going to be crazy-ass busy here for the next 4 weeks or so, as I have been for the past 3 weeks. So right now I am working just to maintain and to drop a little body fat. And after the next 4 weeks or so, I'll be able to get back to the gym those 5 times a week that I need to really start putting on some mass, or trying to anyway. Consequently, because for the past 3-ish weeks I have only been able to get to the gym 3 times a week maybe, we are going to delay assessing how well the BRIG20 is working until 4 weeks after I'm able to get back to it, which would be about 8 weeks from the day I'm making this video. So that will be more fair, because then I will have had a month of solid training in the immediate past, and we'll have something to really compare to when we're looking at how the BRIG20 has worked. All right, y'all, that's what I have for this week. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe if you did. See you next week.